Despite being in only one book, Whiteout has become immensely popular in the Wings of Fire fandom for being one of the strangest dragons in Wings of Fire. Sky might have his odd snail collection, and no one can forget Burn collecting strange dragons, but everything pales in comparison to Whiteout's odd manner of seeing the world. Because of the different way she sees the world, her brother, Darkstalker, is overprotective of her. Unfortunately, his behavior translates to the fandom. People in the fandom are quick to dismiss her as an adorable cinnamon roll, and think that her strange worldview is childish. But in reality, the way that she sees the world betrays an understanding of it beyond what people often consider. I feel like Whiteout has been bitterly underestimated by the fandom. So today, I'm taking a closer look at Whiteout and why she might be one of, if not, the smartest dragon in the entire series. Before we get started, if you are new to this channel, please think about subscribing. I regularly post both Wings of Fire and Warrior Cats content, so you'll never be bored. And to my current subscribers, thank you so much for supporting me. I wouldn't have gotten here without y'all. Also, if my audio seems a bit different in this video, I have finally gotten a new mic after 7 years of using my old one, so I'm sorry if the audio sounds a bit strange. I'm still trying to get used to it, and I promise it will improve after a few videos. But without further ado, let's begin. It's safe to say that Whiteout isn't treated that well by the other characters in Darkstalker. First of all, there's Arctic. Arctic is the worst offender. He likes her, but he only likes her because she looks the most like him. He drags her out in public and then ignores her once they get home. Arctic doesn't accept Whiteout for who she is. In his mind, she's a flawed version of himself, an Icewing who looks like a Nightwing, born without animus powers, and born with a mind that he can't understand. So when he gets a chance to quote-unquote fix her, and fix his own life in doing so, he doesn't hesitate. Now he can keep the dragonette he always wanted and get his own life back. This time it will be perfect, free of Whiteout's and his own flaws. Of course, Darkstalker catches him in the act and murders him, and Whiteout, despite being a victim of Arctic's abuse, feels sympathy as he tears himself apart on the stage. Is it because she loved Arctic despite his abuse, or because she knew that was a sign of Darkstalker finally losing to the darkness inside of him? People often forget that Foeslayer was beside Arctic when he was doing this to Whiteout. She was an enabler of Arctic's abuse towards Whiteout. Maybe Foeslayer didn't realize that Arctic's behavior was affecting Whiteout so negatively. She was raised by Prudence, a dragon who did nothing but criticize her every move. From her perspective, maybe it looked like Arctic was just supporting his daughter, something that she wanted in her own childhood but never received. However, she did not realize that this support only happened in public, and in private, Arctic was never there when Whiteout really needed him. Whiteout still cared for her though. However, we don't know too much about their relationship beyond that. We know a lot more about Whiteout and Darkstalker's relationship. Though Darkstalker accepts Whiteout's weirdness, he too sees her as something that she is not, a sign of his guilt. Darkstalker did not help Whiteout hatch on the night that he did, and he thinks that may have something to do with the way she is. Because of that, he is overprotective towards her. It can be to the point where he's patronizing towards her and ignores her emotions and does what he thinks is best for her without asking her. Darkstalker sees himself as both the harmer and savior of Whiteout. Then there's Clearsight. We don't learn that much about the relationship besides for that Whiteout likes Clearsight and approves of her being Darkstalker's girlfriend, and that Clearsight looks out for Whiteout, both when Foeslayer disappears and when Arctic is killed. However, Whiteout enables her friend, Listener's, poor behavior towards Whiteout. Listener makes fun of Whiteout, calling her Weird Out. On the other paw, Clearsight is instruments of Whiteout's revenge towards Listener. Later in the book, Listener is interested in a dragon named Thoughtful, but much to Listener's chagrin, Clearsight intervenes and introduces him to Whiteout, and the two then got together and later had dragonettes, so Whiteout got the last laugh there. Outside of her brother and sister-in-law's friends, Whiteout really is no one in her corner, until she meets Thoughtful. She is judged both for being a hybrid and for expressing herself in ways different from other dragons, but Thoughtful sees past that and makes a true connection to Whiteout that no one else could, even her own brother. Let's go over Whiteout's prophecies, starting with what I feel is the most overlooked one. When she interrupts the marbles game, she says that in interrupting the game, she did not mean to disrupt your faith in controllable outcomes. Though she says this while looking at the 3 dragons who were taunting her, in reality it was a message for Clearsight and Darkstalker who were standing nearby. Both of them believed that they could control the future, but in reality, forces out of their control drove them to their fates. Whiteout calls Clearsight a zero on the inside, which could mean that she is similar to her and Darkstalker. They are both outsiders in the Nightwing tribe due to their blue blood from the Icewing tribe, and Clearsight feels like an outsider too because of her power. Then Whiteout says, "I like the way she knits," referring to Clearsight's ability to pick and choose the timeline that she wants to live in. Whiteout predicts Darkstalker's descent into animus magic-fueled egomaniacism a few times by saying he's not going to snow for a while and that he has, quote-unquote, stripes on his soul. The most impressive prediction by far has to be when she says only one of us will see Foeslayer again, depending on who wins the future. What's interesting here is that the one who wins the future isn't who sees Foeslayer again. The prediction is impressive because it shows Whiteout being able to see clearly into the modern day, a feat that even Clearsight, the strongest seer ever to live, couldn't accomplish. Whiteout has even more predictions than Darkstalker, but I've already gone over all of them in my video titled Every Wings of Fire Prophecy Explained, so if you want to hear more prophecies, go and watch that video because I don't want to clog up this one with something I already did. From her numerous predictions, we can see that Whiteout has a firm grasp on the future. Her future sight is stronger than both Darkstalker and Clearsight's. Clearsight, even when she was older and thus more experienced, could not see into the modern day like Whiteout could. Her vision stopped around the time of the Tree Wars 50 years ago, and even then her visions weren't that clear. I want to talk about how the fandom perceives Whiteout, but first we have to talk about why the fandom perceives Whiteout the way they do, mainly her neurodivergence. Whiteout is one of the few confirmed neurodivergent characters in the series. She is confirmed to have associative synesthesia, a condition where seeing or hearing one thing can lead you to feeling the sense for another thing, like seeing the number 4 and thinking of green. In canon, this can be seen through her love of colors and association of them with certain people, like blue and white with her family. However, a lot of people have also had canoners having autism alongside associative synesthesia. For one, she finds it hard to relate to other dragons. She is often blind to their emotions and ignores social cues. She finds it hard to play with others, as can be seen through the Marbles game. She is made fun of by them, and as far as we know, she had no friends outside of her brother's friends until Thoughtful came along. The way she acted when Foeslayer went missing can be seen as a sign of her having autism, specifically her having a meltdown, as according to Arctic she was yelling for hours on end. Then, outside the books, there's been some research about the connection between having autism and associative synesthesia. In a paper published in Molecular Autism, they found a possible link between the two. Associative synesthesia and autism are both neurodevelopmental conditions, though associative synesthesia revolves around sensory inputs and autism revolves around social communication difficulty. It was found during a survey that associative synesthesia is found in roughly 19% of people with autism, as opposed to the general population where only 7% of people have associative synesthesia. So, does Whiteout have autism? I'm hesitant to diagnose a fictional character, so I'll just say that personally, I support this headcanon given the statistics and the way that she behaves in the books. Whether or not Whiteout has autism specifically, the way that other dragons treat her within the book because of her neurodivergence, especially Darkstalker, has influenced fandom opinion on her. Darkstalker sees Whiteout as being helpless. Likewise, the fandom describes her as being a cinnamon roll, a term often used to refer to characters who are too innocent for their own good. But Whiteout is far from being an innocent dragon. In fact, she can be quite morbid, saying that her grandmother would eat her own tongue instead of eating her words, and oh god, was that a reference to what would happen to Arctic later, and I'm only realizing that when typing the script? Anyways, the type of infantilization that hits Whiteout within the fandom is not uncommon to autistic characters in media. Entrapta from the She-Ra fandom is a prime example. Though she is a brilliant scientist, the fandom often quite literally infantilized her, saying that she was much younger than she was due to her autism, and they even used to portray her as not being able to make her own choices due to her autism. Specifically, they said that she couldn't date Hordak, a former antagonist, which is a whole other can of possibly eugenicist worms. I would link a video essay here which goes more into depth on Entrapta, but surprisingly, none exist. Someone needs to get on that stat. But until then, I linked this second Tumblr post which I showed on screen in the description. It goes into more depth on her character and her perception within the fandom if you are a member of the She-Ra fandom and are interested in that. There are two other characters within the Wings of Fire fandom who often get infantilized just like Whiteout, Sunny and Sky. People often believe that Sunny is blindly optimistic, when in reality she's ruthlessly determined to make the prophecy a reality, and she's not childish at all. Sky is another character who, like Whiteout, can be interpreted to have autistic traits, mainly because he doesn't act his age, doesn't relate to other dragons, and has a possible special interest in snails. However, that can all be explained away by improper social development, as he was raised away from other dragons. The fandom treats Sunny and Sky as being childish and unable to do anything for themselves. Whiteout's case is especially like Sunny's, because in Sunny's case, we are influenced by the perspective of her siblings, who believe that she is practically harmless, and don't listen to her opinions to the point where she needs to get Clay to relay her opinion in order to be heard. But both Sunny and Sky are not helpless. Sunny practically forced the Dragonet prophecy to come true out of pure willpower. Sky, with help from Ren, intimidated an entire village of scavengers into submission. Whiteout, too, is far from helpless. In fact, she might be one of the strongest seers in Wings of Fire, maybe even stronger than Clearsight, and most people don't even realize it. Up to this point, I've mainly been talking about how others perceive Whiteout, whether it be other dragons or fans of the Wings of Fire series. But what is Whiteout really like? First of all, she's obviously very powerful. Though she did not end up a fully moon-blessed dragon like her brother Darkstalker thanks to his actions, she's still an incredibly powerful seer, and knowledge is power. Plus, she is a sibling to the most powerful dragon alive, and her sister-in-law is the most powerful seer alive. She had both of their hearts. If she wanted to become powerful, she could have easily manipulated Darkstalker into helping her get power. Darkstalker even killed his own father for Whiteout, so who's to say that he wouldn't do more in order to help her get what she wanted? But Whiteout didn't seek power. Instead, she stayed on the sidelines while Darkstalker and Clearsight fought over who would have the power to change the future. Why? Fathom had power, but that power kept him from his peace. First, his family were killed by his power, even if not by his claws. Then he was forced to seal it away, promising to never have dragonets, even if that meant staying away from the love of his life, Indigo, for the rest of his life. Clearsight's power also haunted her. For a full year, she obsessed over every decision that she made, believing that something as small as eating a squirrel could lead her down the wrong path. And Darkstalker was the worst. From the moment he hatched, he was told his only use would be his power, stolen from the Ice Wings so the Night Wings could have an animus of their own. He internalized that, and believed that his power made him better than everyone else, and wanted to control the future to fit his vision of it. Though Whiteout might not have full social maturity, she has a lot of emotional maturity and refusing power, something that her brother could never do despite him excelling when it comes to his charm. Though it's not obvious on the surface, Whiteout is as smart as her brother, and at least twice as wise. Whiteout knew by observing the dragons around her that power wouldn't lead to happiness, so she never chased her immense power and her visions, and she went with the flow. By accepting her destiny instead of fighting against it, she was able to win the future. She may have not ever met her mother again, but she ended up with a loving husband and a full family, while Darkstalker lost his tribe, his wife, his future children, and his soul. Whiteout won the future. That's all I have to say about Whiteout. What's your opinion on her, and has it changed because of this video? Comment down below. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. I make Wings of Fire and Warrior Cats videos pretty often, and your support would mean a lot to me. And to those who are already subscribed, thank you for your continued support. I wouldn't have gotten here without y'all. Peace, Rogan out.